We're talking about odd pieces of bread that are treated in an odd way. When do we make the bracha hamotzi, and when does the mixture demand the bracha of borei minei mizonot? So the Shulchan Aruch in Kuf Samachet, Seif Yud, says the following. It says, Chavitza. Chavitza is a word which we don't really have to explain because the Shulchan Aruch explains it. Dahainu, that is to say, Perurei lechem shenidbakim yachad al yedei marak. You have small pieces of bread, right? Small pieces of bread that don't have a kezayit, even though the Shulchan Aruch doesn't say that, but it's clear that that's what the Shulchan Aruch is referring to. Then you take them all and you cook them in soup, right? And then shenidbakim yachad al yedei marak im nitbashel, if it's cooked up properly, im yesh behem kezayit, if they do have if each of the perurim, any of the perurim have kezayit, aval pi she'ein bo to'ar lechem mevarech hamotzi u'birkat hamazon. So what the Shulchan Aruch is saying is that if you have bread, it's not enough, and you have in the bread, in these pieces of bread, these crumbs, pieces that are a kezayit large, then you have to make, even if you cook it up as a soup, you still have to make the bracha of hamotzi and birkat hamazon. Vim ein bahem kezayit, and if the pieces that you use don't have, none of the pieces contains a kezayit, even though it would seem, if you look at the mixture, that there's bread in there, eino mivarech ela borei minei mizonot, the bracha that you make is borei minei mizonot, u bracha achat me'ein shalosh. And you make a bracha, what we call today, bracha achrona, which was called in the Gemara and in the Rishonim, bracha achas me'ein shalosh. One bracha which includes 3 brachot. So it seems from the Shulchan Aruch, that there are 2 criteria that we have to check out when we have a mixture. When we have bread that became mixed in a kind of a cereal in soup, and those 2 criteria are, you have to look at the pieces and see if there's a kezayit, right, in each of the pieces. And the second thing you have to look at is the result. Does it look like you still have bread, or doesn't it look like you have bread? So the Shulchan Aruch says, if you have a kezayit, if the pieces are big, even though it doesn't look like bread, you still have to make hamotzi because the memory of what it was, or the place on which it came from, is very clear to us. But if there was no kezayit, and you made this soup, even though somebody could look at the soup and say, hey, that's bread, nevertheless, you don't have to make hamotzi. It's sufficient to say borei minei mizonot in such a case, and then follow that bracha of borei minei mizonot with birkat hamazon. For further study, the Mishnah Berurah, in the beginning of this siman, in the Mishnah Berurah, it's footnote Memtet 49, where he gives an introduction to the problem of the breadcrumbs and what happens when you reconstitute the breadcrumbs as a soup or some other kind of mixture.